Toni Mascolo, who has dead elderly 75, and his sibling Guy revolutionized hairdresser in London at the end of the recent age. The son of an migrant stylist, Toni had original ambition of proper a attorney, but difficult times constrained him in his dad's industry. Above 50 he was the household's industry marrow how rotated Toni and Guy in an world deductible mark. They advanced in wool thoroughness, learning and formation, photo and vogue. Toni, unborn Giuseppe Toni Mascolo and Gaetano, or Boy, outdoor his at first southward London saloon in Clapham, falling down leaflets circle the region to promote his Italian styling. But it took 10 years for them to get the equity to go in centre London. It was a time while the conventional barbers were conclusion it difficult to manage in the elongation curly hair of his man clients, time female were needing always more than intricate styles, of bobs to bouffants to beehives. For the 1970s, Guy and Toni advanced external the conventional hairdresser scene, earning in his junior siblings, Anthony and Bruno, and ultimately lot of his family. Later in 1988, the at first Toni and Guy deductible outdoor in Brighton. During 12 years, the quantity would bulk up to 112, in 27 salons overseas. With later the numbers include quadrupled. Ashley Mia begun job as Toni Mascolo's aide 15 years back. Sames lost of wash wool to Creature the officer of one of the business's largest salons. Though the business is a deductible, Toni held straight property of several salons and he refundable and treated in Ashley 1 day a 2 weeks. Ashley went to the Toni and Guy Academia for 2 years to get an NVQ, later did the business learning to be designer. So lot human beings owe his careers to Toni, which he and Guy did in the academia has been so powerful in learning human beings and increase standards, he says. I learned a lot of him, he was so ardent. He had a very pleasant power how driven human beings along its impact is where law through the production, he created so lot jobs for so lot human beings. Richard Chamber, king and celeb stylist, told, same major item is how Toni pioneered the conception of the circuit. Where had been chains up but not on the scope. Though Vidal Sassoon didn't include them at the standard. Behind in the day you would include human beings coming up to London to get his wool made, but by franchise and take a really top norm out in the counties and the nation, it intended how they could discover which they requested on his own top road or it modified the lifetime of all hairdressers. It grown the bar for all of us. To get the extent of expertise through the expansion deductible, Toni begun an academia in the western end of London in 1984. In his memoir, Toni, My History, he wrote, I was looking at a house in St. Christopher's location and as quickly as I went within I knew it would be completely ultimate for our high school. It was ideally. I told to myself, deity has been nice to me. Direct off I solved I would get he. 35-year-old Shadi Merksum owns a stylist's contrary a Toni and Guy branches in centre London. He owns the saloon and else one in Kuwait. He wants to imitate which Toni and his sibling reached in industry. They showed the way to be a successful, love me they came to London since he's a big town and they knew they could reach a lot there, he says. I strive to reach which they did as a industry. Not just are where the salons, they include his sticker M Saloon Wool Means and his top road Toni and Guy food brands that are really success. He told he had a nice relation in the industry. If we are lively, we frequently email human beings where and they do the identical. We are both of nice at our own real. For sample, we do a lot of job in beards, they are really nice at some beautiful treatments. Toni was as well fast to leap on the vogue for new modeling means, launch his TG mark in 1979 in stigmatized jelly, pair of scissors and roller. After his sibling Anthony utilized TG to evolve a industry as a photograph, as sewing hairdresser styles particularly for photography young growth. At the identical period, the Mascolo household was expansion in America wherever they had already start up learning videos. Toni wrote of his expertise where in his volume, they told we were the Beatles of hairdresser and they screamed and cheered so lot, I believe they intended it too much. Richard Chamber told, he was as well a really friendly boy, really amiable, and you couldn't assist but love him. To include reached which he did of such a lowly asa is wonderful. In the 2017 Times Wealthy listing, Toni and his household were alleged to include a net cost of £270 meter, $360 meter. Ellie Rosa is a 20-year-old wool designer of Croydon, Southward London. She says the Toni and Guy mark is really success, as you will see in nearly each top road close her. I believe his dye symbolism the end of an epoch, same's lost but the styling will stay, she says. In the deductible industry, they've be more than of a wool and beautiful mark currently, that I believe above complicates them as a saloon, but human beings will yet go where and wish to job where since of the behalf. Toni acquired an Italian chivalry, the Cavalier Official, in 2006 and 2 years after an honorable OBE for his services to UK Hairdresser. In 2002, the industry break-in boy, Bruno and Anthony take on the US industry, time Toni, and 2 of his family, Sacha and Believer took on Toni and Guy World. Guy Mascolo dead in 2009. Requested by the trustee in 2008 if he had always set a tendency, such as Victoria Beckham's famous bean, Toni replied, "So, I would frankly say we developed all of the trends. We've made more than books, more than DVDs, more than techniques rather than nobody else."